Yeah, we back. Welcome back to The Culture, the hottest broadcast in the game. Go to my playlist section. We have already released over 40 episodes, and we have an entire playlist dedicated to this series. In this series, we shine a light on who's really committing some of the most heinous crimes in the United States and around the world. This project was inspired by years of me listening to certain conservative voices in the media focus on crime in the black community as if crime was unique to us. So that pushed me to dig deeper into the true crime data, the headlines and the statistics to see where the true criminality is actually coming from. Now, everything I'm discussing is based on publicly reported cases and verified information. This content is for educational and commentary purposes only. If you come across a story that you believe deserves to be showcased on The Culture, hit my email at kingnefakari@gmail.com. Now, let's get into today's episode. Now, just to give you an example of what inspired this series, this project, earlier today, I saw a content creator that shall not be named, right? A grifter, a content creator who has been jumping from trend to trend. Like I told you, you know how I mentioned before, how back in the day, it was very hot at one time to be talking about relationships and the gender war and the modern woman and things like that. And this individual back in the day when it was hot, they built their platform off of that, right? Talking about relationships and the gender war. But now because that grift has died out, she has now grifted to the conservative space. A lot of people who were in the red pill relationship, dating space, they transition to the conservative, MAGA, Trump, Republican space. I don't know how they made that jump, but a lot of people made that jump. Guys like Myron Gaines talking about women all day, women this and that, what women need to do better. And then he goes and now he's just straight full-fledged, a neo-Nazi from Sudan, right? And now you got this lady right here. She used to be all about, the relationship talk. Now look at the title of the video she uploaded today. Why is there always an excuse for black crime? Now, this is simply the reality of living in Trump's America, right? But people like this is what gives me the fire and the motivation to keep this fire burning, to keep talking about the culture, right? Keep talking about your culture, right? So thank you for the motivation, right? So we're going to be talking about the culture. But anyways, before we get started, I want to get into some clips, right? As you can see by the title of the video, the media narrative of the white man versus the reality on the ground, right? So I'm going to play a couple clips before we get started. Like I said before, every now and again, we're going to incorporate this segment into the culture where we take, a behind the scenes look at the culture as casual observers, right? And then I'm going to get into some other clips as it relates to propaganda. And then we're going to get into the news stories and the calamity taking place in the community. But anyway, let's get into the first clip. Let's take a look at the culture. Let's take a look at the members of the culture in their natural habitat. Run the clip. I'll be right back.
Good, nice. Ready? I'm gonna give you a big one. Yeah, is that good? Yeah, that good? Happy birthday to us. Ready? Some good shit in it.
All right, we back. Welcome to the culture, bro. Welcome to the culture in full effect. Now, I'm going to get into a couple more clips, right? Now we're going to get into the segment of the show where we talk about propaganda. So I'm going to play, the first clip is going to be this individual doing free propaganda, free marketing and promotion, right? Because she's also a victim of propaganda. And then we're going to get into a couple more clips of some young ladies who are actually aware of the culture. And then, of course, we're going to get into the news stories, the calamity taking place in the community. Let's get into it, not wasting no time.
I believe in interracial relationships for black women only. I know that's going to make a lot of people upset, but listen here, I am a hypocrite. Absolutely. Olympic level. I think black women should experience an interracial relationship at least once in their life. But I'm also here to warn you. It can be very intoxicating at first. Don't get drunk on it. But here are some things you can expect if you do plan to date interracially. It's going to be very different. It's going to be very, very different. You're going to be dealing with an entirely different culture than what you're used to. It's a culture shock. Me and my partner met in 2022, Hinge. And I was shocked by the ease with which he would say yes to me. We were in the car one day, and I remember asking him, like, you never say no to me. Like, what's up with that? And he was like, why would I ever say no to you? Okay, I guess. Once you start dating interracially, you'll start to notice that the culture of dating is just very different across the line. When you cross over to the other side, you'll notice that a lot of those men are unabashed and very much chalant. But in general, the culture of dating is very different across state lines, if you get what I'm saying. So yes, date interracially, if not just to see what it's like.
This might ruffle a few feathers. But y'all be telling black women to date outside their race. I just be trying to understand, where are these white men that y'all be talking about that black women should be dating? Now, I ain't talking about me. I got me a beautiful chocolate king at home. I'm good. But these white men that y'all be telling us to date, I don't really understand. Because when I just be out living my beautiful black girl life, white men look at me as if like I belong somewhere in a barn getting raped by their nephew. And that don't give endearing. That don't give cute. That don't give none of that. So, like, where are these men that y'all be talking about? Because, like, I don't know. Like, I don't be seeing what y'all seeing. So, I don't know. Maybe my hair not messed up enough. Not that I need him to be checking for me. But I'm just saying, like, if this is the pool that women got to pull from, I don't know about that. That is giving scary, sis. I don't know about that.
I recently saw the video of this black older lady saying that it used to be a saying back in the day where they used to say that white men and black women were like the two freest individuals in America. She goes in detail talking about how back in the day, white men used to walk around if it was their black wives or girlfriends or nannies or whatever, and they never went through the same consequences if a black man was dating a white woman or just doing anything with a white woman. Like, people turned their cheek to the white man with his black wife or black girlfriend or whatever he was doing with the black lady. She also said that the white man was free because the white man never really gone or went through any major consequences for the amount of things that they are able to get away with. And it's crazy because in that same video, somebody in the comments section wrote that their grandmother used to say that a white man would catch a cold and blame his wife for it and kill her. And she used to literally like try to figure out why her grandma used to say that until she watched that video. I guess now she knows why her grandma used to say that now. She also goes into details of like a lot of white wives would like just used to deal with their white husbands just acting crazy. A lot of them would stay for the long run because they didn't like their husbands anyway, or they stayed for the long run for the money and the collateral and a whole bunch of other things that came with dealing with the crazy ass white man. And I love that she like went in detail with this, because the loud thing with this whole thing is that so many things has changed from then to now, but the one thing that has not changed is the freedom that white men have. Like, if we want to be realistic, the individual who's producing the most violence in America is the white man. Simply off the simple fact that white men get away with a lot. So, who knows? Like, I remember asking AI one time, like, if white men actually went through the same consequences as black men when it comes to violence and criminal activity, how high would the percentage be when it comes to each individual producing violence? It said white men would be at about 80 to 85%. That's what AI said, and AI was just making an educated guess for me. But it broke it down in which crimes it will be. It said 70 to 75% when it comes to sexual assault of the minor, and of just a woman, or just sexual assault, period. But of a minor, it like put that up first. It said about 65% when it comes to domestic violence and like murder cases or whatever. And like 65% also when it comes to just petty crimes. Like, even AI kind of know that y'all a little violent.
All right, we back. Now, not wasting no time, man. Let's get into today's episode of The Culture. Let's get into the intro, run the clip. Let's get into it.
If you didn't know already, white men make up 29% of the U.S. population, but are accounted for over 77% of the people caught with child. You know what?
What's that? Get away from me now, I'm gonna knock your off, son. Why is he doing this? I just want to leave. I've got my property, I just want to leave. I didn't touch him. Palms together. Why are you guys doing this? I didn't touch him.
All right, we back. Now, let's get started, man. Let's talk about Matt Gaetz. I think that's his name, right? Matt Gaetz, U.S. House of Representatives, U.S. politician, lawyer, political commentator. Y'all heard of Matt Gaetz. So recently he's been, in a scandal recently, as you can see by the headline. Matt Gaetz denies buying sex with the underage homeless girl who was saving up for braces. Now, he denies the allegations, as any politician should. As any public figure should deny the allegations. Now, do we believe him? Of course not. Of course we don't believe him, right? We don't believe you. But anyway, let's get into this story. Newly unsealed court documents are revealing more background about the teenage girl involved in past allegations connected to former Congressman Matt Gaetz. According to the New York Times, the girl, referred to as Victim A, was a 17-year-old high school student at the time and was experiencing homelessness. The records say that sometimes she lived in a shelter and worked at a fast food restaurant and misrepresented her age online while trying to save money for braces. These documents surfaced as part of a civil dispute involving the former Florida lawmaker Chris Dorworth, and they largely match the findings of a bipartisan House Ethics Committee investigation released back in December 2024. The report concluded that there was substantial evidence that Matt Gaetz, who was 35 years old, had an inappropriate relationship with a teenager back in 2017. According to the report and newly unsealed files, the girl first met Matt Gaetz through Joel Greenberg, a former associate who later became a key figure in the federal investigation. The filings described the teen attending a gathering back in July 2017 where Matt Gaetz, his then girlfriend, and Dorworth were present. The girl told investigators she interacted with Matt Gaetz at the event and said she received $400 during that time. The records show that the victim signed up for the website seeking arrangements. She describes herself as a vulnerable teenager trying to survive during a period of instability. According to her testimony, she had multiple encounters with Matt Gaetz and said that she was compensated for her time. Multiple witnesses corroborated parts of her account. Now, it's not the first time we've heard these allegations. These allegations been following them around for a little minute now. Of course, are we surprised? Of course not. Do we believe them? Of course not. Anyway, next story. November 18th, the other day, a neo-Nazi cult leader admits to a plot of giving New York City kids poison candy. Now, Halloween just came a couple weeks ago, trick or treat. Anyway, let's get into this story. Federal prosecutors say a man has admitted to plotting violent attacks in New York City, including a scheme to send somebody dressed as Santa Claus to hand out poison candy to children on New Year's Eve. The suspect, Michael Chivishky, who calls himself Commander Butcher, led an international extremist group known as the Maniac Murder Cult and pleaded guilty in Brooklyn federal court. According to investigators, Chivishky used Telegram and other online platforms to recruit followers and promote hate crimes and provide detailed instructions on creating explosives and lethal toxins, including ricin. Prosecutors say that he personally traveled to New York City in order to encourage others to carry out attacks in the city. His plots targeted the Jewish community and the Black community and other racial minority communities, with one plan instructing a recruit to dress as Santa Claus and give out poison candy to the children. The recruit, however, turned out to be an undercover FBI agent. After that plan fell apart, Chivishky planned a second operation aimed at the Jewish community. He created a step-by-step manual on how to mix poisonous substances and carry out massive-scale attacks. Authorities also revealed that he had been distributing a document which laid out methods for committing school shootings, and 2 attacks were carried out directly inspired by him. One of them as recently as January 2025, where a teenage student in Nashville carried out a deadly attack on a school and live-streamed a part of it and claimed that he was acting on behalf of the Maniac Murder Cult. Another attacker, all the way in Turkey, assaulted several people outside a mosque while wearing extremist symbols and also mentioned Chivishky by name. Chivishky pled guilty to hate crimes, distributing violent manuals, and attempting to orchestrate multiple targeted attacks. He faces up to 40 years in federal prison. Next story, November 19th, today. A former high school basketball coach admits to committing illegal acts against students. Man, let's get into it. A former high school teacher and a girls basketball coach has admitted to committing illegal acts against students and now faces significant prison time. 36-year-old Justin McGee, who worked at Middleton High School, pleaded guilty this week to committing illegal acts against minors. The prosecutors say that they will recommend 5.5-year prison sentence, along with lifetime registration as a sex offender. He will also be banned from school property and prohibited from contacting any victims. According to investigators, the crimes took place in the basement of his home, where he admitted to committing the illegal acts. The police were first alerted after receiving a tip about about an inappropriate relationship involving the suspect and a student, although the person who sent the tip did not initially identify the student. Shortly afterward, the school officials notified the authorities about an email making similar allegations. The authorities eventually identified and interviewed the student as well as her parents. The suspect is scheduled for sentencing in February 2026. Next story. Now, I'm not gonna, get into this right now because it just dropped as I'm recording it. But as you can see, Trump signs a bill directing the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. Welcome to the culture, man. Let's continue. Next story. We're going to get back to that later, though. You know what I'm saying? You already know which demographic is all over them files. You already know which demographic is dominating them files. Now, anyway, we're going to get back to that. Anyway, next story, though. Yeah. November 19th, today, a father of kids aged 10, 11, and 14 refused to send them to school for years and let them live in a cockroach-filled house with barely any edible food. The authorities down in Florida have arrested a father after discovering that he and his 3 children were living in extremely poor conditions, even after officers and local nonprofits tried to help him just 2 months earlier. The suspect, 48-year-old Tony Maynor, is charged with 3 counts of child neglect after the police found his house in disarray on 2 separate welfare checks. According to police, the first visit happened in September when officers looked through the windows and immediately saw the house filled with trash, empty beer cans, and what appeared to be drugs. Inside, they found no working furniture, no food in the refrigerator, and dirty bedding all throughout the house. The authorities also noticed an empty above-ground pool bizarrely placed in the middle of the living room. The suspect reportedly admitted that the children, aged 10, 11, and 14, have not been enrolled in school for over 2 years. The police in the community stepped in, supplying food, furniture, and school materials, and the Department of Children and Families also got involved. But by early November, the authorities learned the children were still missing school, which prompted another welfare check. When police arrived on the morning of November 6th, the suspect and the children were still asleep during school hours, and the house was still in unsafe conditions. The responding officer described walking in and immediately seeing cockroaches running everywhere across the floor and even on the walls, rotted wood on the cabinets, a strong smell of mold, trash, spoiled food, and alcohol containers scattered all throughout the house. And the officers also noted that there was no edible food available for the children. One child had reportedly been bitten by the family dog the night before, and Maynor failed to treat the injury. When Maynor was taken into custody, authorities said that he tested positive for methamphetamine. According to the arrest affidavit, investigators concluded that despite multiple chances, resources, and interventions, Maynor allowed the situation to worsen, leaving the residents unsafe for the children because of insects, unsanitary conditions, no food, and general neglect. Now, listen, that goes back to what the lady said earlier in the video. Instead of this guy going to jail on the first occasion and having his children taken away, right, which typically I assume would happen to most people, instead of being held accountable for his actions in neglecting the children, they gave him free furniture, free food, right? Listen, they hooked him up, right? They hooked him up, and then he just went back to smoking meth, right? You know they love that meth. Welcome to the culture, man. The culture gotta have the meth. It ain't the culture if it don't got meth, it don't got alcohol, it don't got cocaine, it don't got sexual depravity and debauchery. Listen, welcome to the culture, man. These are strategic elements of the culture. Anyway, let's continue. Next story. November 19th, today, a man has been sentenced to 50 years in prison for a plot on the dark web to kidnap and commit illegal acts against teenage girls. Man, let's get into it, bro. The dark web, these guys, which demographic is dominating the dark web. Which demographic is running the dark web. Listen, when you go into the dark web, which demographic you're going to find chilling up in there. Let's get into it. A Georgia man who prosecutors say used the dark web to target a child has been sentenced to life in prison after pleading guilty in Jasper County. According to the district attorney's office, 43-year-old Kelly Garrett Ivy admitted to trafficking a minor for illegal acts. The DA described him as a monster taken off the streets. The case began when the FBI alerted the local officials to a disturbing post on the dark web. Now listen, y'all boys on the dark web, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, right? Listen, y'all boys on the dark web, a certain demographic on the dark web, committing illegal acts. The FBI, they in there with you, undercover though, right? You in them chat rooms on the dark web, you think you chilling with your other fellow, deviants and criminals? Nope, the FBI, they up in there. Homeland Security, they up in there. Yeah, they up in there, right? Yeah, that's right. Now, anyway, let's continue. Investigators later discovered that the suspect had befriended a child that he met while oh my God, bro. Welcome to the culture, man. I'm telling you, a certain demographic, when you hear what I'm about to say, a certain demographic, they know that due to media and propaganda, usually people don't assume that they have negative intentions. People assume that they're upstanding citizens because of propaganda, right? Because of false doctrines, right? So check this out. The investigators later discovered that the suspect had befriended a child that he met when he volunteered at a local church. And then he used the child's photos and social media activity to attract other predators online. A search of his electronic devices revealed a secret plan to offer the child that he met at church to criminals on encrypted platforms like the dark web, with the suspect attempting to arrange the kidnappings and the assaults for a fee. The prosecutors say that he even provided the child's home address and personal details on the dark web. In addition to the Jasper County conviction, he is also sentenced in Monroe County on a separate case involving 17 charges involving committing illegal acts against minors. Prosecutors say that in that case, he also posted the personal information of children online to orchestrate attacks through anonymous channels. The suspect ultimately received a life sentence plus 50 years in prison, ensuring that he will never return to the community. Now, time out. You know, when I saw this guy's case, you know, it made me think, because I keep track of things like, for example, I'm always surprised that even though, you know, the black community is only a fraction of the overall United States population, but we are overrepresented not only in things like exonerations, which means that we are overly represented in those who are hit with false charges, but also we are overly represented in things like missing children, right? The rate at which black children go missing compared to their population is truly astounding, especially if you keep up with the open cases, right? So, for example, take a look up on the screen. Black children account for approximately 33 to 37% of all missing children in the United States, despite making up only 14% of the total children population. That means that black children are disproportionately represented in missing children. And then when you see these guys on these secret websites, these encrypted channels, right, on these underground, you know, websites that nobody knows about, right? And he's exposing the personal information of children that he knows personally. He's going to local churches, going to, you know, into the community as a friendly face. I'm the friendly white man, right? And giving out the address of the children, giving out the whereabouts of the children, right? To other predators online, right? So you wonder how children go missing, you know, children just, you know, fall off the face of the earth. How does that happen? How does that happen, right? It's because of guys like this. It's because of guys like this, right? So how could black children only be a tiny fraction of the overall population, but we coming at damn near 40%? You know, just a good chunk of the missing children is the black children, bro. And they're only tiny fraction of the population. And we got guys like this giving out personal information on encrypted underground websites, the dark web, giving out the address, location, the schools, the movements of their children to strangers, to predators, to criminals on the internet, right? Probably from the same demographic, right? It's things we got to think about, bro. Things we have to think about. Anyway, like I say, man, welcome to the culture, man. Let's continue. Next story. November 19th, today, a man has been arrested after a chase in a stolen F-150, and detectives find meth in the backpack. Let's get into this one. A 50-year-old Florida man was accused of stealing a Ford F-150, and he has been arrested after the deputies used an aviation unit to track him from the sky. According to the Hillsborough County Sheriffs, investigators had been monitoring the suspect, Eric Wells, for several weeks after connecting him to the stolen truck. The deputies located the vehicle on the afternoon of November 18th and noticed that the suspect had allegedly tried to disguise it by removing accessories and swapping out the license plates. When deputies attempted to stop him, Wells reportedly tried to get away and tossed a backpack over the fence full of meth. With support from the Hillsborough County Aviation Unit, the suspect was taken into custody without anyone being harmed. Now, this individual, right? I mean, besides the backpack full of meth, you could just take a look up on the screen, right? This guy, obviously, law enforcement was very familiar with this individual. As you can see, this guy pretty much just been wasting his existence on this earth, right? We get, you know, a few years Not even a few years. We get a few minutes on the earth. You know, when you think about in the grand scheme of things, we get a few minutes on this earth, and this guy has decided to spend, you know, the few minutes that he was allocated on the earth to just, you know, indulge in the deepest abysses of criminality, right? In the deepest pits of criminality, that's where he's been stationed at for the past 50 years that he's been on the earth, right? Unfortunately, wasted his whole time. Like I say, man, anyway, I'm not gonna waste too much time on this low life. Let's continue. Next story. November 19th, today, a man has been arrested for assaulting a woman and a child. Let's get into this one. The authorities say that a man has been arrested after assaulting a woman and a child on Wednesday. Today, the police say they responded to a 911 call shortly after 5 in the morning from a person saying that they could hear a woman screaming for help at a nearby residence. 28-year-old Jesse Ramsdale was arrested after an officer arrived and said that he saw the suspect assaulting a woman. During the investigation, authorities determined that the victim had been choked, restrained, and a child inside the house had also been assaulted. The suspect was taken into custody without incident. Let's continue. Next story. November 19th, today, a volleyball coach has been arrested after committing illegal acts against minors at a training facility. Let's get into it. Authorities say the suspect, 33-year-old assistant volleyball coach Richard Trevor Hill, came under investigation after the authorities received information suggesting misconduct involving a child. During the investigation, authorities recovered a photograph of the juvenile in a compromised position, along with additional evidence supporting the allegations. The suspect was taken into custody and is now facing multiple charges. Now, next story. A married mother committed illegal acts against one of her students, but was acquitted of plotting to assassinate her husband. Let's get into it. A Kentucky woman accused of abusing a teenager at a juvenile detention facility and then trying to persuade the teenager to kill her husband has now been convicted on multiple charges. 28-year-old Elena Barden, a married mother, was arrested after investigators said that she initiated illegal acts with a minor who was housed at a juvenile detention center where she was employed as a teacher. According to court records, authorities discovered letters and illegal materials in the teenager's room, leading to an allegation that she encouraged the boy to murder her 49-year-old husband. Time out, man. Time out. Welcome to the culture, man. Welcome to the culture, man. See, I told y'all, man, the white woman, she don't got no love for that boy. The white woman don't got no love for that boy, right? She was going to employ a teenager as a mercenary hitman to eliminate her husband. That is crazy, bro. That is why I ain't never heard of a scenario like this, where your wife is cheating on you with a child and she's trying to orchestrate a plot against you, a conspiracy against you with the child to kill you, assassinate you, eliminate you. Oh, I ain't never heard of something like this. Let's continue. Barden was originally charged with 3 counts of illegal acts against a minor and distribution of illegal materials. The prosecutors also added 3 more counts for unlawful transaction with a minor, accusing her of causing a teen to engage in illegal activity. During the 2-day trial, the alleged victim and Barden's ex-husband took the stand for the prosecution. Barden did not testify in her own defense. After deliberation, they convicted her on 3 charges. They recommended a 4-year sentence for the crimes to be served consecutively, totaling 14 years. Now, we have the goddamn English teacher down at juvenile hall, the juvenile detention center, sleeping with the children, cheating on her husband, right? A teacher with the juveniles, the criminal juveniles, and she cheating on her husband with the inmate, with the teenage inmate. And she tried to convince the inmate to assassinate her own husband so she could run off with the child instead. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy, bro. It's kind of like Emmanuel Macron's wife. Emmanuel Macron's wife, actually, they started their relationship when he was like a teenager. The president of France, right? He was like 15 years old when he met his wife, and she was like 35 or something like that. She left her husband to go run off with the little boy, and now he's the president of France. Anyway, let's continue. Now, this case is actually a follow-up of a case that I actually covered before in previous episodes of The Culture. You remember this guy? I think he was a teacher, and his father was like the big football coach at the school, and he got caught up, you know what I mean, committing illegal acts against minors, you know, and now look at the headline, 38 victims. Let's get into it. The Salina Police Department says that after a 6-week investigation into a former middle school teacher and coach, Caleb Elliott, is now complete, The investigators reviewed his devices and identified 38 victims. Newly released court documents detailed the troubling allegations, including an incident where the suspect, Elliot, allegedly confiscated a student's backpack and then pressured the student to perform a illegal act in the locker room to get it back. The investigators also examined his personal relationships. However, the police said that an attorney blocked their attempt to interview his boyfriend. So time out. This dude got a boyfriend and he cheating on his boyfriend with the children. Let's continue, bro. This is totally crazy. Let's continue. Welcome to the culture, man. Authorities believe that the relationship may have began when the boyfriend was underage. Over the course of the investigation, detectives interviewed dozens of witnesses, victims, and individuals connected to the case. The prosecutors say that the suspect coerced minors between April and October 2025 to create illegal images and videos using electronic devices on social media. Also, 3 lawsuits by parents have been filed accusing the school district of covering up the suspect's behavior. Now, like I said, his father was like the big football coach. His father actually had to come out and make like a whole apology to the student body, the community, the parents, the students, everybody, right? He had to make an apology on behalf of his whole family, right? This man embarrassed the whole family. Could you imagine disgracing the family to this level, right? Your father got to come out to the whole community, show his face to the whole community. I'm sorry that my son committed these illegal acts against your children. Crazy, boy. Anyway, let's continue, bro. Next story. November 19th, today, a 21-year-old man shot his 16-year-old friend in the head during a game of quick draw. According to investigators, the shooting occurred outside of a home. The suspect, Sebastian Belden, admitted to aggravated assault and battery and now faces up to 10 years in prison. The suspect and his 16-year-old friend were reportedly mishandling firearms and had a pattern of pointing loaded guns at each other for fun as part of a reckless game they called Quick Draw. The suspect even purchased a handgun for his teenage friend. That night, the habit turned into an emergency when the suspect's gun fired, striking the victim in the head. Luckily, the teen survived and was taken to a hospital. The suspect told detectives that he believed the gun safety was on and claimed that he didn't realize a round was in the chamber, calling it a 1 in a million fluke. Authorities say that others were present during the shooting, including the suspect's fiance, as well as 2 minors. The suspect initially urged them to tell police that he tripped and the gun discharged, but investigators uncovered the real story. Now, welcome to the culture, man. I told you it's Wild Wild West. You remember last night, the guy shot the damn Mexican cleaning lady from the top of the stairs with the shotgun through his door before he even opened the door. Like it's Wild Wild West, man. You know, these dudes playing quick draw, man. Listen, welcome to the culture, man. Anyway, next story. A man has been arrested for possession of illegal images and videos involving minors. I think this one happened a few days ago. Let's get into this one. The sheriff's office has arrested a 27-year-old man after investigators uncovered hundreds of illegal images and videos involving minors during a search of his home. According to the Sheriff's Bureau, the deputies received a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children in regards to suspicious online activity connected to the area. Detectives identified the suspect, Dylan Strobel, as the individual responsible. Deputies served a search warrant at 2 locations. During the searches, investigators seized hundreds of digital files containing illegal acts against minors. The suspect was taken into custody and booked into the county jail. Authorities say that all of his electronic devices are currently being analyzed as part of an ongoing investigation. Now, man, welcome to the culture, bro. Another successful episode of the illustrious broadcast that we have here called The Culture. You know, I love being with y'all every single time we do it. Now listen, this particular series, it's a lot on your boy. You know, it's a lot on the mind and spirit. It's a lot, you know, because it's not the movie, it's not the TV, this real life we talking about. Everything we talking about, like I said, it's real life. It's not no movie script. It's not nothing from no Hollywood actors. It's real life, bro. We talk about real life people, real life victims, real life events happening in real life. You know, so sometimes it definitely takes its toll on your boy, but you know, we definitely gotta shine a light on what's being kept in the darkness, right? We definitely gotta shine a light on what's being kept in the darkness. And I want to go back to that girl from the beginning, right? I think I'm not going to give her no promotion. I'm not even going to say her name, but this lady right here who put out this YouTube video that said, what she say? Why does black crime always get an excuse? Why is there always an excuse for black crime, right? So like I said, I'm simply You know, instead of her grifting about black crime, let's talk about some crime from, you know, certain demographics that nobody wants to talk about, because apparently certain demographics seem to be off limits, right? That's what it seems like to me. When it comes to certain demographics, they seem to be off limits. You can't talk to them directly. If you talk to them, you got to talk indirectly. You can't say, oh, nah, it's the white man. You got to say, oh, it's just men. It's just men. It's not the white man, right? No. Certain demographics, you saw when it comes to this lady right here, she said black crime, right? Black crime. But how come when you talk about white crime, everybody wants to switch the subject and say, it's not white crime, it's not white men, it's all men, it's all crime. But you notice when they talk about black men, they just say black men. When they talk about black men, do you ever hear anybody come into the conversation and say, no, it's not black men, it's all men? Do you ever see anybody come to the defense of black men when black men are the topic of discussion and anybody say it's not black men, it's all men? No, when it's black men, we have to sit in the hot seat by ourselves. But when it's these other men, all of a sudden, everybody got to be held accountable with them. Fuck that. That's how I feel. That's how I feel, bro. That's how I feel. If we can talk about black men exclusively, then we can talk about these other demographics exclusively as well, right? Keep that same energy. We're not switching the topic. Oh man, it's the white man. No, it's not the white man. It's all men. It's not only white men doing it. It's all men doing it. No, but when it's black men, everybody just sits and we got to talk about the black men exclusively. Nobody gets held accountable along with the black man. Nobody gets held responsible along with the black man, right? But when it comes to these other groups of men, everybody has to carry their burden. No, we putting you straight on the Summer Jam screen, on Front Street. That's what it is. Anyways, man, it's your boy Nefakari Salim back in the Billy. Yes, indeed. The single off the next project, The Spy and Bamako. Pin comment at the top, link in the description. Support the Patreon, NCD 1814, and I'm gone. Peace.
Feel like they see me, I feel like I'm Saudi or ran up on Yan in the middle of Bamako. Enemy line, they claiming they innocent. Don't do no talking, I gotta move militant. Don't do no talking, I hit them with facts. 1804, bringing it back. 1804 like I'm Mother Cap Henry. King with the vision, the crown never empty. Top of the mountain, my soldiers defend me. Ducking and dodging the foreign intelligence. Hitting my dance on the DGSE. Dodging they traps, still on my feet. Feeling impeccable, feel like I'm shining. Go to my neck and I'm flooded with diamonds. Go to my neck and I feel like a mess. Feel like a lion, I'm in the savannah. Feel like the king when I'm up in the jungle. Never defeated, I never been humble. Come out victorious every encounter. Money machine give me help when I count it. Money machine stack it up in a beat. Heart of a king and I ride for the team. Weight of the world got it stuck on my shoulders. Bet you can feel it, my heart getting colder. Yeah, gotta stay focused so when it's in shots I gotta react. Cause I'm a target, I'm under attack. Grabbing a weapon, I tell her get back. Mission exposed, secrets unfold. Enemy try but I'm still in control. Got your boy sitting in Bamako prison. Hoping they wish we sending them home. Enemy know that we good under pressure. Been through the thunderous turbulent storm. Shorty a diamond, I told her she pressure. Hop in a whip and I'm taking her home. Hop in a whip and I'm swerving, I'm smashed. Killing my enemies, one of my passion. Rocking this gold like we in bikini. Feel like the captain, I'm clutching a heater. Yeah, gotta stay focused so when it's in shots I gotta react. Cause I'm a target, I'm under attack. Grabbing a weapon, I tell her get back. Mission exposed, secrets unfold. Enemy try but I'm still in control. Got your boy sitting in Bamako prison. Hoping they wish we sending them home. Enemy know that we good under pressure. Been through the thunderous turbulent storm. Shorty a diamond, I told her she pressure. Hop in a whip and I'm taking her home. Hop in a whip and I'm swerving, I'm smashed. Killing my enemies, one of my passion.